Welcome back to the Fantasy 15. I'm your host, Steve Hoikla. It's week one. If you're like me, you're pumped up because football is finally here, and I'm more excited than anyone to start playing some fantasy football. Hopefully, everyone had a great draft season, whether you're in a dynasty league, keeper league, or just your regular snake. I hope everyone had a great draft, and now it's time to put it into action with your week one picks. This episode of Fantasy 15 is brought to you by Homage. We're powered by Viking Central and Homage. If you haven't checked it out, they Secondary comfort is on deck with Homage. They have some great comfortable clothing out there. Go check them out. And thank you again, Homage, for sponsoring us over here at Viking Central. And of course, we're powered by Viking Central, being the Fantasy 15. So, with the Fantasy 15 this week, we're focusing on your picks, setting your lineups, and hopefully winning your very first matchup with fantasy football. You can go ahead, make sure that you follow and subscribe us at all of our different social media links, or you can follow us on X, and you can also follow us on YouTube. We are on Spotify, so after this episode, it will be uploaded to Spotify, and then, of course, TikTok as well. So let's go ahead and just dive right on into it. Set your picks, and that's hopefully all come out with a victory this week. All right, taking a look at the NFL schedule this week, we do have with the very first game on Thursday, Dallas at Philadelphia. That's a big matchup. Now, obviously, Dallas catching some heat within the division. They'll catch some heat because they just got rid of their top defensive player in Micah Parsons, which is maybe a top 10 defensive player in the league. Followed on Friday by Kansas City and LA. That's a division rivalry matchup where bound to have a little bit of offense and some fireworks as well too. Getting into Sunday's matchups, some key ones that I want to highlight. If you take a look at those games, Pittsburgh and New York. So New York, you did have Aaron Rodgers in New York. Now he's in Pittsburgh, change of scenery. And of course, New York having Justin Fields, who just came over from Pittsburgh, who, was, kind of pushed aside in Pittsburgh. And then Pittsburgh said, hey, we want you now. And Justin Fields is like, hey, it's a little bit too late. You didn't want me before. Why would you want me now? Went over to change the scenery in New York, but now those two quarterbacks that swap teams are playing each other. And then also taking a look at some different matchups around the league. You have Detroit and Green Bay, which is going to be an exciting matchup in Green Bay. And two high-powered offenses, both teams upgraded on defense. Division rivalry, it's going to be a great game. Baltimore and Buffalo, also an exciting game. A lot of points probably going to be scored in that one. I'd be hesitant on any defenses that you're going to play. And then, of course, on Monday Night Football, you got the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. Both teams made changes on both sides of the ball and should be better this year. Getting to our top 15 QB chart for this week, I still have Lamar Jackson as number one. Lamar Jackson is just dynamic. He's a point scorer. If you have him on your team, you have a really good shot every week of just scoring a lot of points with Lamar Jackson. He's dynamic with his legs and with his arm. And with the weapons that he's got on that team, it's hard to stop. But you also got Josh Allen at number two. Those two teams are going to go back and forth. I think there's going to be a lot of scored points in this one, upwards in the 30s, maybe even the 40s. In this one, I expect a high-powered matchup. Jalen Hurts going against Dallas. Dallas just got rid of Micah Parsons. He should have some more time in the pocket. That should help his pass game. And, of course, he's always dynamic with his run. Joe Burrow, I think that's one of these games where he could be shut down early because they're up by so many points. So just keep an eye on that one. I do have Kyler Murray a little bit higher against New Orleans. Again, they've kind of pieced away some different pieces, and I think Kyler Murray will have a big day with Marvin Harrison Jr. Love and Goff, they're going to be going at it. This could be a high-powered one, but again, they both added on defense. So we'll see what this ends up being as far as a matchup. But again, two good offenses, but two improved defenses as well. I think Bo Nix is going to have a great game against Tennessee. He's a quarterback that's rising on the charts for me that could have even a higher game. Tennessee doesn't have the greatest defense, and Bo Nix has really just kind of shown something. And then one to watch on the end, Matt Stafford. Is he healthy? Is he going to play against Houston? We'll see. If he does, of course, he has, two great receivers over there in Houston and a great running back. He could score a lot of points, could have a great game. But again, is he healthy? How much playing time has he had to be able to develop the chemistry going into a week 1 matchup? So that's one of my concerns I have for him. When we get into the running back matchups, Saquon Barkley versus Dallas. Dallas just got rid of Micah Parsons. That's going to be a tough battle. It's in Philly. Philly's always a really tough place to play. Division matchup going in there. I think Saquon, is just going to be lights out. He's coming in fresh. He hasn't really had any injury concerns over the offseason. I just think he's ready to start the season again with another record-setting season. Bijan Robinson against Tampa Bay. Bijan's one of my top rated running backs that I have for this season. I expect him to have a great game, but one of the big risers is Chase Brown. Going against Cleveland, I expect him to have a really big game in this one. Multi-touchdown game, at least in this one. I think Chase Brown possibly has a rushing and a receiving touchdown in this one. Just Chase Brown. He's looked good towards the end of all last season. I expect him to have a great season and against a Cleveland team that I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities. Kind of rounding it out in some of the games that I want you to keep an eye on that you're probably interested in. Ashton Jeanty against New England. They'll be debuting him. I have him a little bit back, a little bit farther in this one. Again, it's his first game. And I think what we saw early in the preseason as well, too, kind of trying to get the hang of the NFL speed. And I think it'll just take a little bit for him to get going in this offense. That's just my opinion on it. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, I do have him a little bit back in this one, too. And this is just because I think in this one, both teams bulked up on their defensive side of the ball, and he still has to share carries with Montgomery. So I think that's going to be a challenge. I do think that Connor with Arizona is going to have a big game against New Orleans. I have him at number 13. He has nobody that's really challenging him for carries there in Arizona. He's going to have the ability to have a big game against a defense that's strapped. When we get to the wide receiver charts, the top 15, Ja'Marr Chase. Who else, right? He's playing a Cleveland team. Again, they're playing Cleveland. They're going to have multiple opportunities. And, look for T. Higgins to possibly even crack into this top 15 as well, too. Somebody to keep an eye on. CeeDee Lamb, hey, Dak's going to need to have a big game. They're hurting on the running side of the ball. Javonte Williams, we'll see what that looks like on the running game, but they're going to be passing a lot this season. I got CeeDee Lamb number 2. He's going to need to have a big game for Dallas to even stay in this one. St. Brown against Green Bay. I think that's going to be, again, I think that has the potential of being a shootout, but both defenses are better. I think Drake London versus Tampa Bay is one to watch because Tampa Bay is going to put up a lot of points with their 3-headed monster that they have. Over there in Tampa Bay, Drake London's going to have a big game. Yes, Chris Godwin's probably not playing in that one, but Ibuka has looked great. So again, Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, they got Bruce Irving as a running back. They got a lot of weapons over there. I think Malik Neighbors will still show out against Washington. Washington has a good offensive team. They're going to have to score a lot of points. I have Puka a little bit lower against Houston at number 6. And again, this is just because I don't know what Matt Stafford's going to do. Justin Jefferson, you can see him at 9. And again, this is because this is J.J. McCarthy's very first game, and it's at Chicago. And Chicago has done a good job on defense. They were a decent defensive team last year, but they bulked up inside the trenches. I think DJ Metcalf's going to look to have a big game, but man, he's going to be shadowed as well too with the Jets. So it's really going to be a hard game. Aaron Rodgers, but again, DJ Metcalf is just a man out there amongst boys, and I think he's going to have a big game. He's going to want to have a big game for his first one as a Steeler. Nico Collins, this is kind of a comeback game for him against the Rams. So we'll see how that works. Another one to watch out is Stephon Diggs with New England. He looked really good, enjoyed practices over the summer, and I think Drake May and him have a great connection. Looking at our tight ends, Brock Bowers, Brock Bowers and Trey McBride and George Kittle, they're going to be at the top fighting all season long. But coming in at number 4 is TJ Hockenson. Okay, so Jordan Addison is out the first 3 games. So who can JJ throw to? He's going to have to throw to Justin Jefferson, but he's double teamed. They brought in Adam Thielen, but TJ Hockenson has had great chemistry with JJ McCarthy, and he loves tight ends. So I expect TJ Hockenson to have a decent game against Chicago. I think Njoku, in order to have a good game, Flacco's going to have to target him a lot to even keep up with points with Cincinnati. So look for that. Rashee Rice is out for the first 6 games, so Travis Kelce's going to have to really step up to help the Kansas City Chiefs against the Chargers. Tucker Kraft is, bound to have another good year, but they got a lot of different receiving options. Maybe no number 1. Is it Tucker Kraft? Is that the option, being that they don't have a true number 1, a bunch of number 2s, or is Matthew Golden their new number 1? We don't know. Dalton Kincaid might step out and just have a big game against Baltimore. I have him at number 13. And again, probably a high-scoring game. Dalton Kincaid's going to have a lot of opportunities to catch the ball in there, or will have a lot of opportunities, because they really don't have a number 1 receiver up there in Buffalo. They got Keon Coleman, who just really hasn't panned out as that number 1, and Shakir that's going to have to step up. My week 1 kicker chart really didn't change this one. You got a lot of different games, but kickers are, it's kind of a fickle thing with kickers. Unless you're really facing a really good defense, or that offense is really struggling, a lot of the kicker charts don't really change a whole lot. So just something to keep an eye on with the kickers is obviously as teams have injuries in the quarterback game or running back game, this is going to alter whether or not a kicker is going to get more opportunities at field goals. If they have high-powered offenses, like you see a lot of them at the top, they're going to have opportunities to score a lot more points. One of them that I think you should keep an eye on, again, we have Jesse Bates at the top. Green Bay and Detroit having that good defense that they upgraded, a lot more field goals maybe in that game. When we take a look at defenses, Broncos and Tennessee. Broncos number 1 this week, facing a rookie quarterback in Cam Ward. Broncos had number 1 defense last year, and they're going to come in again looking to be the top spot. And week 1, they absolutely are for me. I expect them to not only have sacks, but opportunities at picks in this game. Steelers at the New York Jets. Steelers had a great defense last year. They added again with Jalen Ramsey over the summer. And again, they're going against Justin Fields, and Justin Fields, not so much of a passer, more of a runner. But the Steelers are just a really good, solid defense. This will be a tough opener for Justin Fields to start out with against this defense. Farther on down the list, one of them to keep an eye on is the Seahawks against the Niners. And I think the Niners, just with their wide receiver situation, they don't have Debo anymore. Juwan Jennings does he have an injury, or is it a contract situation? I think it's more of the contract situation to me. Something to take a look at there. I'd be concerned if I'm the Niners going into this game, and hopefully Christian McCaffrey has a huge one, because they're going to have to really rely on him and George Kittle to really have big games in order to pull out a win against the Seahawks. Taking a look at other teams in here, it's Ravens have a decent defense, but again, when you're going against Buffalo, that's tough, because Josh Allen's going to try to put up some points. Minnesota has a great defense. They were my number one going into the season. Chicago's just got a lot of weapons. It's just whether or not Caleb Williams can put it all together. Now, this one's in Chicago, so they have the home field advantage. So I did move Minnesota down a little bit farther, but this has the potential of going sideways big time for Caleb Williams. That Minnesota defense is huge up front. Good push, great ends. We'll see how it goes, but Minnesota has a great defense. Again, just recapping some of my season sleepers of the year. Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard's my number one that I had in there for a sleeper. I think he's going to have a great week this week and great season. Travion Henderson. Now, Ramondre Stevenson is supposedly healthy. We'll see what that looks like in some of those splitting of the shares, but Travion's still going to have a great game because, honestly, he's probably the better back out of the two already as a rookie. Calvin Ridley, I think once Cam Ward kind of figures it out, I mean, obviously he's the top target there, but Calvin Ridley, I think, is going to have a blow-up season. I think they've improved at quarterback, even with the young rookie Cam Ward, and Calvin Ridley is just going to get more opportunities. He throws a good deep ball, and Calvin Ridley should have an improved season this year. Mega Ibuka, now, with Chris Godwin out until somewhere in October, he's going to get a lot of reps, especially early for the first 4 games. But he's possibly, even maybe a better receiver. Maybe he's not even the wide receiver 3. He could be the wide receiver 2 by the end of the season. Jaden Higgins, with his play, yes, Christian Kirk's there, but Jaden Higgins might not be the wide receiver 3 for long and might be that wide receiver 2 early in the season. Rashad Judkins is there, but honestly, with his legal problems, he might have to drop off, and Dylan Sampson might get the large share of the carry. Well, that's our 15 minutes for the Fantasy 15, and so that's all I have for our top 15 charts, and I'll make sure throughout the season that we add in some different guest hosts in our session that we have overtime. So once we finish our 15 minutes, we go into overtime with our overtime hosts. I have an exciting one for you for next week for week 2. I have Jeff Blaylock from the Football Guys, and he also is able to come on next week to answer any of your trade mailbag questions. We'll take a look at overs and unders, sit and start questions, and anything else that you have for Jeff or for myself, or any questions that you might have through the season on injuries. So go ahead, give us a shout out at Fantasy15FB at X, and we'll go ahead and answer any of those questions that you have. I want to give a shout out to one of our other sponsors that we have, and make sure that if you're going to any tickets this season, or you're looking for any tickets this season for any NFL games, that you're checking out SeatGeek. With SeatGeek, use code VikeCentral and you get $20 off a $50 purchase. And that code is eligible for all of the SeatGeek tickets. So whether you're going to concerts, whether you're going to events or shows, go ahead and use that code VikeCentral and you can get that $20 off any $50 or more purchase. Now, again, you can follow us on X, YouTube. Again, this will be uploaded on Spotify and TikTok. We'll have more guests throughout the season. This is kind of a shortened show here as I'm going to be gone here on vacation, but I did run through the different lists for you. I'll try to give you an update as we get a little bit closer to some of these games. If we have any injury updates, like a Devon A-Chain, we'll see what happens there too. Make sure that you have Ollie Gordon as a handcuff for anyone that's out there that has Devon A-Chain, because he may or may not start that game here coming up in week 1. Now, it looks like he's getting healthier, but again, I would just be cautious. Make sure that you have that handcuff, and if you have other options this week, I would take a look at maybe sitting him just at least for this week. So make sure that you follow us. I want to thank you for all of you that tuned in today. And for those, please make sure that you like, thumbs up, subscribe, leave some comments for me. And again, we'll see you next week. Make sure that you tune in. Jeff Blaylock from the Football Guys and Dynasty Compass is the other show that he does. So make sure that you tune in. We should have a great one for you again on the Fantasy 15. I'm Steve. Have a great football week. Make sure that you tune in next week to set all your picks all in 15 minutes here on the Fantasy 15.